Hello YouTube, thank you for tuning in. I am your host. It's June 14th, 2019, and this is my third podcast. And today I'm going to touch on a few topics, including why I use the dragon in my YouTube videos and what it means to me. I also want to talk about YouTube demonetization and how that might affect the future of my channel. And then I want to talk a little bit more about targeted individuals and how that relates to me. And so, like I said, why do I use the dragon in my videos? As you can see, the dragon in my YouTube icon and in my videos has the letters J, P in the design. And also the dragon is a symbol of power, strength. It brings prosperity and good luck. And I reference it often in my social media and my videos. So if you watch my channel, you will hear me and see me reference it often. I also use the color blue because it represents many of the same things, including honesty and integrity, strength and power. So that's why I use the dragon, the blue dragon, as my icon, as my symbol. And I've been doing that for many years. And that's what it means to me. And we've seen a lot of videos being demonetized on YouTube for the topics that they discuss, which they consider to not be advertiser friendly, or the person making the video may have said something that they consider to be offensive, or the topics that they are discussing are labeled conspiracy theories or alternative information. And as you can see from my videos, and this is a new channel, but my limited video library includes direct energy weapons and targeted individuals, and will continue to include subjects that are not considered mainstream, although I will discuss other topics such as recent events, news, politics, sports, anything that I find interesting. I will try to talk about in my videos so that it doesn't become all about one specific topic. And I'm far from my channel receiving ads. However, I am aware of the policies that YouTube is trying to enforce regarding specific topics that YouTube creators are putting out there. So I'm not really sure how that'll affect the future of my channel, but I will continue to talk about topics that might not be as mainstream as some other channels out there. And then I also want to discuss more about targeted individuals and how that relates to me. Because I am also targeted. I'm actually one of the highest level targets out there. And I bring a unique perspective to targeting because I am at such a high level. And by listening to my channel, you will learn about how the world works. I will explain to you a lot of what is going on in the media, what information you are accessing, how targeted individuals are affecting that media, a lot of the big events that happen in our world, including false flags, and some of the other narratives that are portrayed in the media. And because of the level of targeting that is done to me, I can bring a unique perspective as to how it is affecting our world. And the reason why I am such a high-level target is because the person that trafficked me into this program is Barack Obama. And I've been targeted for many years. However, I didn't realize it until 2015, where it became so obvious I was being targeted. They wanted me to know I was being targeted, and many targeted individuals can point to the specific time when they realized they were a target. However, not many targeted individuals, at least that I've come across or researched, can actually definitively say why they're being targeted and by who are they being targeted, who is doing the targeting. However, I do know who I'm being targeted by and why, and I'll discuss a little bit of that today. I won't go into the specific things that are happening to me, the specific type of targeting that is being done to me. I'll just do an overview of why I'm being targeted, how I became targeted, and who's doing the targeting. So, like I said, I was trafficked into this program by Barack Obama, and I've been targeted for many years. I initially became targeted with the pass of the Patriot Act. So that would be the Bush administration. So when the Patriot Act was passed, that's when I initially became targeted. And the reason why I'm targeted is because of my race. So I'm both Middle Eastern and Latino. And so that makes me the perfect target. And I also have Muslims in my family. And I keep into contact with people in my family in places like Dubai. And my family members are Muslim. They're great people. I love them. And I keep in contact with them. And after 9/11 and the pass of the Patriot Act, Muslims became targeted. And because I was keeping in contact with my family members in Dubai who are Muslim, I believe I was placed on a watch list, and I became harassed and targeted at that time. Now, after a few years of being targeted, I was released from targeting for whatever reason, or it minimized, and I was able to make progress in my life again. And then when Barack Obama came into office, the targeted started again. And I believe when Barack Obama came into office while he was a senator, he gained access to the information about targeting, and I was one of the people on the list. And maybe because of the profile that they had on me, he took particular interest. And the reason why I know Barack Obama was targeting me when he came into the Senate is because around that time, just looking back over my life, at that time, some of the targeting that was done to me references the same type of targeting that is being done to me today, and much of it relates to Barack Obama and how much he references himself in my targeting. And one thing that Barack Obama does do is he loves numbers, and he loves colors, and he loves letters. He just loves them. The more minimal the targeting for Barack Obama, the better. The less he has to do to get your attention, the more proud he feels of himself for doing it. So, for example, he loves the number 15. And the reason why he loves the number 15 is because it references the letter O in the alphabet. Remember when he was holding up that Blackhawks jersey and it had the number 15 on there. The number 15 references the letter O in the alphabet. And he loves his name. He loves the letter O. And any time that they can make me reference numbers and letters, he's very proud of himself for doing so. So in 2015 is when when I realized that I was a target. And in 2015, once I realized I was being a target, my life had changed overnight. It was so intense that I was living in a different world. And so how did I end up being trafficked by Barack Obama? And how do I know that I became a target in 2015? Well, because I was initially brought into the program under the Patriot Act because of George Bush, it had to do with my race. And then when Barack Obama started targeting me, I realized that Barack Obama is incredibly racist. He is horrifically racist. Barack Obama hates people with brown skin. And now I'm not like a native brown color, and I love the native brown color. I've been with many women with native brown color. I've had friends that are native brown color. That's just not my color. However, Barack Obama hates people with brown skin, no matter what shade you are, even if you're from a country that has predominantly brown-skinned people. Places in Latin America, places in the Middle East, for which I am both. And I was also connected to a famous woman. And I believe that also got Barack Obama's attention, because when you are famous or you stand out in some way, you are an intellectual, you are an expert in your field, you are a politician, an athlete, something that makes you stand out, you're going to get someone's attention. And when this targeting first started, with Barack Obama entering the Senate, I began to launch more businesses, and that began to get Barack Obama's attention even more. And so when you put everything together, me being Middle Eastern and Latino, having these businesses, I'm connected to this famous woman, and Barack being incredibly racist, I got his attention. Now I'm at the top of his enemies list. And Barack Obama spends a tremendous amount of time and resources focused and obsessing over me because I am at the top of his enemies list. It goes Donald Trump and then me. And how did I get to be at the top of Barack Obama's enemies list? Well, Barack Obama, like I said, is incredibly racist. So I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Persian, and I'm Venezuelan, from Venezuela. I was born in New York, but my ethnicity is Iran and Venezuela. Two countries that have been singled out by American governments as the enemy to our country, to America, right? And Barack Obama loves to find ways to leverage negativity towards enemies any way that he can. And so for me, being Persian and Venezuelan, I am the perfect target. And I truly believe that Barack Obama and members of his administration, and possibly others outside of his administration that Barack Obama has contact with, came up with a plan to leverage someone to drive agendas for what he's trying to accomplish. And so he may target somebody for specific agendas, and he may target someone for another type of agenda. And I got specifically targeted because of my race so that he could push a specific agenda. And that is to build more hatred of people from Iran and Venezuela so that he could leverage that hatred into action to overthrow governments, military action, and I'm the perfect target. Barack Obama has caused so much destruction because of his racism. He separated 90,000 children from their families at the border. 90,000. And when that program carried over to the Trump administration, when it got to just over 1,800 families being separated, Donald Trump signed an executive order to stop separating families at the border. The First Lady, Melania Trump, takes a trip to the border to discuss what's happening with families, with these children. And when Barack Obama was separating 90,000 families at the border, and he was confronted about it, he would just ignore it. When Barack was campaigning, he said that he was going to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And when he got into office, there were 7 wars by the time he left. He started with 2 and left with 7. We had Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, the Ukraine, Libya, and we've heard Fox News talk about Barack Obama created ISIS. The president, Donald Trump, said Barack Obama is the founder of ISIS. And when a member of the Donald Trump administration tried to clarify what Donald Trump meant by saying that, Donald Trump said again that Barack Obama is the founder of ISIS. And so Barack Obama saying that he was going to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan then says we can't leave these countries because we have to deal with ISIS, and then ISIS starts rampaging through the Middle East and Northern Africa, so that Barack has an excuse to stay over there and destroy these countries. Barack Obama also leveraged ISIS to perform terrorist attacks all over the world, including here in America. Barack Obama is the greatest terrorist the world has ever known. He is the greatest terrorist America has ever known. Nobody has terrorized America with a terrorist organization as much as Barack Obama. He is the greatest terrorist our world has ever known. In the history of man, Barack Obama is the greatest terrorist the world has ever known, using ISIS to terrorize the world. Now, how does that relate to me becoming an enemy on the enemy list, the top of the enemy list with Barack Obama? Well, in 2015, I attempted to recruit Barack Obama to work with my companies. I had several companies, and I reached out to Barack Obama in an attempt to recruit him to work with my companies. I don't know how serious I was being, but I figured it was a great opportunity to reach out to the President of the United States and see what kind of response I got. I had been away from Facebook for about 5 years, and I decided to return to Facebook to reach out to this woman, and I was being manipulated and entrapped into reaching out to Barack Obama for whatever reason, and the reason happened to be to come work with my companies. So in 2015, I did just that. I reached out to him to see if I could get him to come work with my companies. And I did that by sharing his posts that related to what my company does and writing excerpts in those posts to try to get his attention of what I could offer, what my business does, and that I'm interested in working with him. And the more posts I shared from his Facebook profile, the more it appeared that he was responding in a way that was leading me to believe that we were getting ready to make a connection. I really thought that the President of the United States was responding to me sharing posts, and I was getting excited that it looked like there was a possibility we were going to make a connection and at least talk about what was happening. Talk about what I'm offering, talk about what options are out there. And I thought that's what was happening. I later realized after looking back that it was all a psyops. It was all something to lead me towards targeting, because I had been targeted for many years before that. And I related a lot to like a mafia informant or an undercover drug agent, where they gain your trust, and then when you initiate whatever they're trying to entrap you in, they get you. And that's what happened to me when I reached out to Barack Obama to see if he wanted to work with my companies. It was all a psyops. And we know they were running psyops on Facebook. We know Barack Obama was running psyops on Facebook because when the Cambridge Analytica story broke, the manager from Obama for America said they were running similar operations on Facebook, and they were working closely with Facebook to perform these operations. And so they were very well versed in how to psyops people and manipulate them on these social networks. And I was one of those people that was psyops to come into contact with Barack Obama. And I reached out to him to work with my businesses. And he ended up backstabbing me and psyopsing me and entrapping me into this targeting program where I got trafficked, and now I'm being tortured, and ultimately they're murdering me. So how on Facebook did that happen? What was said? Well, when I first reached out to Barack Obama, like I said, it was all about trying to get him to work with my companies. After about a month of that, maybe 3 weeks to a month of that, there were things happening in the media with Barack Obama that was leading me to notice that he was starting to go after the woman that I was connected to. And it looked like he was getting ready to harm her. And Barack Obama has control of the media. In July of 2012, he signed an executive order to confiscate the media and gave the president complete control over the media and all social media, all alternative media. Anybody of any significance in the media is controlled by the president of the United States, by the FBI, by the CIA. Anybody of any significance is controlled by these departments, including the president. It's specifically in the executive order, specifically says the president has the authority to manage these media outlets. And that happened in July of 2012. So he's posting things in the media that appear to be now going after this woman that I'm connected to, and it was leading me to believe that he was getting ready to harm her. So after that went on for a little bit, 2 women went into an office next to mine and began crying hysterically about this woman being raped and about this woman being harmed, and making it seem, or making me realize that Barack Obama was involved with harming her. And at the time, I was not a high-level target. I didn't even know I was being targeted. I didn't know the program existed. And so I thought they were trying to relay a message to me without coming out and saying it, that this woman is being harmed and I need to do something to stop what Barack Obama is doing to her. And I was still trying to review the situation to see what is happening and decide how to respond. And I was still not a high-level target. And I didn't become a high-level target until a false flag. Once this false flag happened, and all the videos and pictures and narrative about this false flag was released to the media, I realized that this false flag was orchestrated by Barack Obama and the CIA. And I had this overwhelming feeling that I expected it, that Barack Obama was involved and wanted to see how I was going to react. And at first, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to respond. But looking back over it, I realize now that they were beaming an artificial intelligence at me that was trying to manipulate me and force me to respond in a certain way. And it was all to entrap me into this program, this torture targeted individual program. And it's not hard to believe that they would pull off a false flag like that, because people have come forward, world leaders have come forward and said that the CIA is involved with terrorist attacks. President Vladimir Putin, Hi President Putin, said that 95% of all terrorist attacks are committed by the CIA. And since Barack Obama appoints the leadership in these departments, including the CIA, it's not difficult for Barack Obama to approach these leaders and discuss putting together one of these terrorist attacks that are going to look like somebody on his enemies list, or appear to be somebody, or relate to somebody on their enemies list. And since I'm at the highest level of targeting, I'm at the highest level of his enemies list, it goes President Trump and then me. I believe they orchestrated this to entrap me into a confrontation with Barack Obama so that I could be labeled a dissident. And how hard would it be to label me a dissident, being Persian and Venezuelan, and convince everybody that I'm a dissident and a traitor to the country, and that I should be tortured and killed? Now, this false flag, the reason why I related it to me, and I know it was related to me, is because of there was one story about the terrorist had made a recording on his laptop to his mother and then threw his laptop in the garbage. And that recording was verbatim a conversation I had with my mother. And I threw away a laptop in the garbage just recently before that. And the terrorists themselves were made to appear as if me and my family had done the terrorist attack. The terrorists were wearing articles of clothing that related to my Facebook posts. The specific cities that they targeted related to what was happening in my life. And the woman also involved or connected to me. And so it was just so obvious that this was orchestrated by the CIA, and this is not something that I was aware of before this. And I had basically an epiphany that this is how terrorist attacks were working. That they are targeting specific people and not necessarily a terrorist organization that is terrorizing the city that we are led to believe in the media, although it has that effect on the general public. So it has kind of this effect on everything that they want to accomplish. They're attacking a targeted individual like myself, and then they're also targeting the general public to try to sway opinions so that they can go take military action in these countries where these terrorists are hiding. And so when I even look back into terrorist attacks prior to this one, I realized that many of those prior terrorist attacks were also relating to me and this person I'm connected to. I just didn't know it at the time because I didn't research it beyond the mainstream media narrative of these are terrorist attacks and this is what's happening in our world. And after a while, you become immune to any type of real context outside of that. And it wasn't until this terrorist attack, this false flag, that I realized that this is how these terrorist attacks are working. And we have Ted Gunderson, who was a supervisor in the FBI during COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program run by the FBI that was designed to psyops people, similar to the Stasi program in Germany. He said that most terrorist attacks are orchestrated by the FBI and CIA. So now we have world leaders like Vladimir Putin, President Putin, President Putin, saying that 95% of all terrorist attacks are committed by the CIA. I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing, but he did say 95%. And then we have an FBI supervisor saying the same thing. And then we have all these alternative news sites also saying the same thing. And this false flag attack was done to get my attention, like a movie scene. And I do believe these terrorist attacks do happen. We have these mass shooters, we have terrorist attacks. I believe they do happen. I'm just not in a position to have direct information on whether or not these terrorist attacks are done by some actual terrorist, or if they're, some actual terrorist that might have been manipulated or had some kind of remote neural monitoring, mind control type of direct energy weapon to get them to perform these attacks, or if it's an orchestrated scene by the FBI or the CIA, and I think it's a bit of both is what's actually happening. Like, we have Alex Jones who talks about Sandy Hook, and now he has legal issues relating to that incident. And I believe that Sandy Hook and other type of mass shooter incidences really do happen. I just don't know if they're happening because of some mind-controlled, neuromonitored, hearing voices individual is being manipulated into committing these acts, or if they're being orchestrated by the CIA and FBI as some movie scene. And again, I'm not talking about mass shootings as much as I'm talking about terrorist attacks. I do believe these things actually do happen. But how much of that is involving actual willing participants acting under their own free will, or if they're being hit with direct energy weapons and forced into these situations, or if they're being orchestrated by the CIA and FBI, and I think it's a bit of both. And I can't tell which is which. However, with these terrorist attacks, the ones you hear about ISIS pulling off, especially when it's ISIS, I believe the CIA is mostly involved, and it's mostly an orchestrated attack where they're trying to scare the general public into going in and taking action in these countries, military action in these countries, and gaining their support because ISIS is after you. And so this is how I became a targeted individual. I then confronted Barack Obama about this terrorist attack. And when I did, I posted things on Facebook that came out exactly how the direct energy weapon, the artificial intelligence, was spamming it in my brain. It came out in threes. And so I would post repetitive points regarding this terrorist attack and how it related to my Facebook and how it related to me and my family. And I confronted him about what they were doing to this woman. And then literally overnight, my whole world was different. The air was thick. Everyone knew who I was. And when I say the air was thick, I believe it's because of the direct energy weapon that is being aimed at me. I have this aura of energy around me, and it becomes very thick, like you're walking through. You know how when you're in a very hot city like Phoenix, how when you go outside there's just this oven feeling to it? It's not that intense, but it kind of has that thick feeling to it like that. But it's not that intense. And it's a pressure that you feel, kind of. And everybody knew who I was. And I didn't know if I was safe or if I was in danger. Because at first I thought it was kind of cool. Everybody knows who I am. Billboards and a lot of media was relating to my life specifically without actually trying to sell me anything. It was just like very specific to my life. People were carrying on conversations that would relate to my life. And everyone seemed to know who I am everywhere I went. And they would talk about things that were going on with me. It was done so openly that it was not a coincidence. It was meant to lead me to believe that I'm being targeted. I then noticed that many of the offices around my office were rented out by government agents. They had government agency signs on their office doors that I hadn't noticed before. Everyone in my office was targeting me. Everyone was targeting me. And I won't go into the specifics of what I was dealing with, just the overview of how I became a targeted individual. And so everyone knew who I was, and everywhere I went, and I became a very high-level target. And I started defending myself. And as most targeted individuals know, it progressively gets worse. And it was progressively getting worse for me, being a target. And it became incredibly racist. They were attacking the color of my skin. They were attacking my ethnicities. They were threatening my family to me. They were making threats about my family to me. They were telling me that I should blame my family members for the color of my skin. They were telling me to only speak English because I also speak Spanish, so they tell me to only speak English. I have a media company, and some of the things that we do are in Spanish. And they block it because it's in Spanish. They take it down because it's in Spanish. They manipulate it. They try to stop me. If I try to post a beautiful woman that might have brown skin, they immediately surround me and attack me about it. Barack Obama absolutely hates brown skin people. And we can remember when Glenn Beck came out and said that Barack Obama has a deep-seated hatred for white people, and he faced so much backlash over that he came out again and said that maybe he doesn't realize what Barack Obama is going through, and he tried to course correct that backlash. But let me just confirm that Barack Obama absolutely hates white people. He absolutely hates brown people. And I believe he hates black African American people that he does not consider royals like himself. Black Lives Matter was labeled a terrorist organization during the Barack Obama administration. And many of the leaders in Black Lives Matter said they were being stalked and harassed in a COINTELPRO type of program. And so Barack Obama is incredibly racist. And he absolutely hates brown skin. And if you go read his book, he turned his back on his mother because she is white, and he stopped acknowledging her and said that he had to choose. And me being a mixed race person, I don't have to choose. I chose both. I don't have to choose. I'm Persian and I'm Venezuelan. And I'm also Caucasian as well. And I look very European. But that's what I am. And I was born in New York, so I'm 100% American. But they'll never acknowledge that. They'll never give me credit for that. Because that doesn't fit into their narrative. And so when I confronted Barack Obama about this false flag and how it related to me and my family and how he was attacking this woman, the targeting was intense and it started immediately. It was an overnight thing and it was intense. The entire city seemed to know what was going on. And like I said, it began to get very racist. And I believe race is the primary factor as to why I'm in this program. I also think I was in this program so that they could confiscate my business assets. I had valuable intellectual property that I believe they wanted me to sell at a tremendous discount and basically steal my business assets. And I thought that's what it was only because of at first. But then as the program persisted and I began to do more research, and they started to literally just say racial epithets towards me constantly, I began to realize that actually it's because of my race, and that Barack Obama was leveraging my race to gain support to take action in countries like Iran and Venezuela. Remember the Arab Spring and how they were going to overthrow the government in Iran and overthrow the government in Venezuela. So to be able to take action like that, you have to build up a racist narrative. You have to get people behind you, and they have to see these people as an enemy. You got to build up racial intolerance towards these countries so that when Barack Obama says to you that they want to invade these countries, you are more susceptible to saying yes because you don't like their race, you don't like the color of their skin. And so that's exactly what is happening with me. I'm being leveraged to gain support to destroy these countries, and that's what they were trying to do. And you can see the mess Venezuela's in right now. And Barack Obama is incredibly petty. He's incredibly petty. And the more petty he can be, I believe the more proud he is of himself. He is incredibly petty. And so when we look at the damage that was done to Venezuela and continues, I think a lot of that has to do with Chavez presenting Barack Obama with the book, The History of Latin America. And I think Barack Obama felt like he was disrespected by Chavez and used many CIA assets in the country to destabilize it because of it. Because he's incredibly petty. He's incredibly petty. That might not be the only factor, but it was when they saw an opportunity to collapse Venezuela, Barack Obama jumped all over it and collapsed it. Now, when it comes to the Middle East, also, we can see that Barack Obama wanted to destabilize the Middle East and has done a very good job at doing it. He assassinated Muammar Gaddafi, which has led to a slave trade in Libya. He destroyed Syria. Iraq and Afghanistan are still at war. We're still at war with those countries. And he did it by using ISIS. He is the founder of ISIS, and he leveraged ISIS to destabilize the region and cause so many deaths and so much destruction. Barack Obama is one of the worst human beings we've ever had walk our planet. He starved 85,000 children to death in Yemen under the age of 5. He is the reason why Yemen is in such despair. And what's so disgusting about that is now Barack Obama is producing a show for children to eat healthy, promoting healthy eating to children after starving 85,000 children to death in Yemen. It's like he's mocking the world. What kind of personality is required to do something like that? What kind of person would do something like that? Starve 85,000 children to death under the age of 5. And that doesn't include ages 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 and 18, and all the men and women that have died along with that through starvation. And then you're producing a show about children eating healthy after starving all those children to death. It's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of children that you genocided by starving them to death. And now you're producing a children's show about eating healthy. Barack, what are you doing producing this kind of show? That is sick. You are disgusting. Barack, stay the fuck away from children. You are absolutely disgusting. What is wrong with you? You got a really messed up personality, Barack. You are dangerous, Barack. You are dangerous. Stay the fuck away from children, Barack. You are dangerous. What is wrong with you? And Barack Obama will hear this, or he will get a transcript of it. I am at the top of his enemies list. He will hear this or get a transcript. Barack Obama obsesses over me like a celebrity stalker. And I can't get rid of him. I can't go out and file a restraining order to restrain Barack Obama like other celebrities can when they get one of these stalkers. And Barack Obama is stalking me like a celebrity stalker, but he has the technology and the network of people to do it at such a horrific level that I can't get it to stop. And he is disgusting. And he is fucking racist. Very fucking racist. Barack Obama hates brown-skinned people. And I think a lot of... So, Barack Obama also blames me for losing the 2016 election. And I'll explain why he blames me. So when I became a high-level target, their goal was to kill me quickly before Barack Obama got out of office. And now that I'm here, I believe that they're using me to leverage hatred against Middle Eastern people and Latinos because I'm both. And they feel like that's a valuable asset to leverage racial hate in this country and spread that hatred. They are so racist, and so many people are racist, that what it's doing to our country is such a step backwards. And I know Barack Obama is involved with my targeting because so many of these targeters, so many of these perps, these genociders, always make reference to Barack Obama to me. Barack beat you. Obama's better than you. Obama beat you. You can't beat us. And they want to kill me now. But they were really trying to kill me leading up to the election. And they were working hard to get me to die. And they had recruited so many people into this network to help them do it. Celebrities, athletes, politicians, business leaders, the media. And they're all covertly doing this. That doesn't mean every celebrity, that doesn't mean every politician or business leader, but many of them are. And so I rarely focus on mainstream news or anything like that because I'm attacked so heavily as soon as I do. Even world leaders of other countries understand what's happening here in America because they have their own intelligence assets here. And so they leverage what's happening between me and Barack for their own benefit because they know how much it's influencing the American public without many of them even knowing it, and how much then in turn that influences the world. And so they know that by getting themselves involved in the confrontation that we're having, that they can try to influence how this is happening all over the world as well. What narrative is being portrayed in the media and in public circles as well. So they're also very much aware of what's happening because Barack Obama is the leader of the Democratic Party. He is the one that raises the most money for the Democrats. He is the name in the Democratic Party. They see him as a god. and that he can do no wrong, and that he has the right to torture people to death. He has the right to do anything that he wants. One guy over here has the right to do anything that he wants, including torture, murder, and other things that I will get to in other videos. So world leaders are also very aware of what's happening here in America, and they try to influence the narrative as well, because they know how much Barack obsesses over me, and they know that I'm defending myself, and the more I defend myself, the more Barack obsesses over me, and it's a circle, and the world leaders know this, and they're trying to influence the outcome as well. So how did I affect the 2016 election, and why does Barack Obama blame me for losing the election? So because I'm defending myself, I've got the attention of Barack, and he's not really paying attention to what is happening in the election. He's in control of the media. The media is saying Hillary Clinton has already won. And he's more focused on what's happening with me, because I'm at the top of his enemies list, and he doesn't want anyone talking about me, because if I'm out in public and I'm talking about what Barack Obama's doing and he's horrifically racist, well, that's going to hurt him. So he doesn't want any media attention for me. So he's telling all the media, don't pay any attention to him. Celebrities, athletes, business leaders, don't pay attention to him. And I also believe that he was jealous of Hillary Clinton going through the campaign process, and a lot of people giving her so much attention as being this great leader. And I like Hillary Clinton. I don't have a problem with Hillary Clinton. I like her. And I believe that she would have released me from this program had she been elected. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I believe. And I won't talk about Hillary Clinton much in this channel, but it is part of this backstory that I need to tell. And I believe that Barack Obama was jealous of Hillary Clinton, and I believe that she would have let me out of this program because she saw me as nothing more than a distraction, and she didn't want to be distracted by this. This was her moment. This was her moment to become president. She wanted to become president. The media was saying that she was on her way, and Barack Obama is trying to steal her moment by leveraging the confrontation between us to have everyone rally around him to try to protect him, while Hillary Clinton and President Trump, candidate Trump at the time, are going through this campaign. And so Hillary Clinton, I believe, was getting frustrated with that and saying, or it was becoming just a distraction to her. And I believe that President Obama at the time was seeing that as well, and that's why he opened up the FBI investigation on her with 12 or 11 days to go in the election. They reopened the email inquiry into the Benghazi emails about her, and I believe that's why he did it, to try and get her back in line, because he felt like she was getting frustrated that I was the distraction and she was trying to become president, and Barack Obama is spending all this money, resources, and time and people assets to attack me while she's trying to become president. While she's trying to become president. And that's why he opened up the investigation on her with only 10 or 11 days to go, 12 days to go in the election, to try to get her back in line, to make sure that she stays with the narrative that I'm the most important thing going on in the world right now, because I stood up to the Barack God. And Barack was obsessed over me. He still is. He's completely obsessed with me. But he was very obsessed with me at the time of the election, so much so that when he was being pulled onto the campaign trail to campaign for Hillary Clinton, it appeared that he was a gamer being pulled away from defeating the final boss, and he couldn't believe he had to go out and campaign. He just wanted to get back and finish off this final boss. And so we're getting closer to the election, and I'm in New York City, and I'm being attacked by thousands of people in New York. New York is a very densely populated place, and I'm being attacked by thousands of people. And these people are really stepping it up. They're telling me to commit suicide. I was told to commit suicide hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of times. And they're just all telling me suicide, kill yourself, constantly, trying to get me to die before Barack had to leave office. And to defend myself, I launched a news site, and I ramped up my social media, and I was doing pretty good. I had a lot of followers. I was making some money. And Barack Obama was so obsessed with stopping me that they started hitting me with cars. I got hit with cars so much, 3 times in one night, 4 times in 2 days, and several more times in the prior weeks. They were really trying to harm me. They wanted me dead. They wanted to kill me, and they were hitting me with these cars constantly. Everyone's telling me to commit suicide. I'm being harassed in New York City by everybody, it seemed like. And if you weren't harassing me when I first came into contact with you, if you were someone that I would come into contact regularly, like maybe I liked your cafe or something, and I went in there 2 or 3 times in a row, they would go in there and manipulate you into harassing me or bribing you or whatever they do to get you to harass me. So after about 2 or 3 times of going into the same restaurant, harassing me, telling me to kill myself, because they were desperate. Barack Obama must have told them to kill me before he left office, and that's what they were going to do. And as we became closer to the election time, it was getting harder for them to do it. And that's why Hillary Clinton, I believe, started to get frustrated that it was going on and started to voice her frustration by saying I was just a distraction and these kind of things. But the American populace, the people in this network, which include many people in neighborhood watch groups, which is 40% of the population, over 40% of the population. So it's a significant number of people that were coming after me. And again, I don't know exactly who they are. Just from my research, I've discovered that many of them are neighborhood watch groups, Citizens United. Barack Obama was talking about developing a civilian security force that was just as strong as the U.S. military. So, as we know now, Donald Trump ended up winning the election. And I believe that President Obama at the time felt like I was the reason he was so distracted from the election, because I was defending myself, that he wasn't able to dedicate the time and resources that it required to defeat Trump in the election. For example, they were campaigning in cities that would relate to me somehow, instead of going to key areas that would garner more voter support. They would instead go to a city that had something that related to me. Or they were making appearances in the media that would relate to me somehow. They were making headlines that would relate to me. And I saw an interview with Sarah Palin many years ago before I became a target, and she said, and I'm just paraphrasing, it's not a quote, but she basically said that she understands how the media works now, and that they post headlines that relate to moments in your life covertly, and they do the same thing to me. So like if I'm cutting my fingernails in private, in the privacy of my own home, then almost immediately a story will appear on a mainstream media site that I will be sure to see about somebody cutting their fingernails. Or if I wear a certain color, then many celebrities will start wearing that same color while I'm being stalked and harassed by a bunch of people saying that, look what we do, look at, they're all relating to you. They're all a part of it. And they really are. If you're a celebrity and you have 50 million followers on Instagram, then the CIA or the FBI is going to reach out to you and let you know that they want to get control of you because you have significant influence over the populace. And so they want to make sure that you're on their side and you're out there with a specific narrative. And that narrative for a long time, including today, is that I'm the enemy and that I need to be controlled or killed. And that's exactly what they're doing. I had a friend of mine that also became a targeted individual, a friend of mine from high school. He became a targeted individual, and he said the same thing, that celebrities were mocking him. It's just mine appears to be at a very high level because I'm on the top of the list of Barack Obama. And my friend from high school said it was rare that it was happening, but it was happening. And for me, it's not rare. It's all the time. So he blames me for losing the election. And I figure that he's going to try to kill me at this point. He's going to try to kill me. Once the election results were all done, I figured that he's just going to kill me. I'm just going to be dead. So I end up leaving the country to go seek asylum in other countries. And when I was in the asylum center, many of the other refugees there were actually agents that I had seen in New York on the subway with me. Many of them. People that I've actually confronted for stalking and harassing me on the subway station was now in these refugee centers with me in these other countries. And one guy came and sat in front of me at this table, and he said, you see, he was saying this quietly and kind of quickly and under his breath. And he said, you see all these people here? These are the CIA. And we're doing this because of politics. What he said was, these people are all the CIA, and we do this for many reasons. And we're doing this because of politics. Do you understand? And I said, yeah, I understand. And he left. He got up and left. And I never saw him again. And many people in the refugee center actually stopped harassing me. Once you're around me a little bit, you start to like me. Many people do, not everybody. And they wouldn't harass me anymore. Or they'd be from a country that Barack Obama destroyed, and they didn't want to help Barack Obama harass me. So they wouldn't. And so they were constantly being shifted out of this program because some of them wouldn't harass me, and then they'd have to bring in a fresh group to harass me. And then some of the ones that would not stop harassing me were continuing to stay in the refugee center. And one night in the refugee center, Barack Obama came on to the television set, which he had tried to do several times. And every time I'd just leave the room or not pay attention to what he was saying, or if some story came on about him, I would just leave the room. And one night he appeared on the television, And I knew he was going to try to relay something to me, because they can see me in cameras in the refugee center and everything. And why is he popping up in a refugee center television if I'm in another country? So I stand up and I flick him off as I'm walking out of the auditorium, and everybody's just kind of like in shock. There's like many people in the auditorium. And I think that frustrated him because he couldn't relay a message to me. And so they have all kind of different audio weapons that they can aim at you that you can't escape. And they hit me with this audio weapon, and it was Barack, and he was saying like, I should kill you, and look at what you did, you messed everything up. I should kill you, motherfucker, I should kill you. And he was just going all, he was having a meltdown. And people in the asylum center were all excited that Barack, I couldn't escape. They were all excited that Barack is yelling at me. And they're running around saying Obama's yelling at him. And they're all excited about it. And he's sitting there yelling at me. And it lasted about 5 minutes or so. And he was saying he should kill me. And I can't get away from it, obviously. And I messed everything up. And it's all my fault. And they wanted me to just lay down and die. They wanted me to just lay down and die and never get my story out there, never defend myself, and that's just not who I am. And so that's how I became a targeted individual. And now I control everything about this guy, and I don't like it. The action that he takes, even the destinations that he goes, the colors that he wears, and I don't like it. I don't want anything to do with Barack Obama. And this has been happening for many years now, and he's just as obsessed today with me as he was when he first took office. And that's where we are. And so now I decided that I have to come out onto YouTube and express myself and have more of a detailed description of what's happening to me. Although on my channel I'd like to talk about a lot of different topics. Not just being a target and targeted individuals. And I will help you see how the world works. Because I wasn't aware how the world works, and I am now. I do know now. And in future videos, I will come out and describe what is specifically happening to me. I will also come out and talk about some of the things that's happened to me since becoming a targeted individual. What has been done to my friends, my family, and even come out with some information on how to protect yourself as a targeted individual. Because that's something I have been able to do as well. I have been able to protect myself. And it's not easy to do. And it's not 100%, but it does bring at least a bit of protection, and we'll discuss that as well. So now we know why I use the dragon. I talked a little bit about demonetization. And we know how I became a targeted individual. And so this is our third podcast. And thank you for tuning in. Watch out for more videos. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell notification so that you can be updated when I launch more videos. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. And I will respond to them in future videos or directly in the comment section. Thank you for tuning in.